Welcome to the Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow podcast. I am Koko.
And I am Xolani.
And we apologize for all of the technical difficulties. We went from one platform to another, but that's what happens usually a lot of the times on the first time of doing a new production. So I kind of expected it just a little bit. So we're good though. So welcome if you are listening to us. And on this channel, we're talking about everything financial independence, motivation, fitness, mental health and wellness, all of the above, and anything to add on to that?
Nah, that just about covers it. Yeah.
Okay.
All of the above and everything that makes it all happen.
Yeah. So despite the technical difficulties, we are here now and ready to talk about some things. And first of all, happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Happy Father's Day, Xolani. Happy Father's Day, John, our special guest. And anybody out there who's listening who is a dad, uncle, or father figure, this is your day. Happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Day.
Didn't I get you in trouble one time when you said that to someone?
Well, I said some other things on top of it. Some words that John doesn't really say.
No frick, anything
no
like
frick. That. No, it was a little more harsh than that.
Real thing.
Yeah.
No, actually, yeah. Anyway.
Before we get off into all of that, because it's about John. So speaking of which, we want to introduce our very first guest on our very first episode of
Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow.
So our first guest is a husband, a father, a son, a brother, and a friend to many. He was born and raised right here in St. Louis, Missouri, where he received his undergraduate degree from the University of Missouri, St. Louis. His professional background includes experimental marketing and real estate. And he serves as a community program manager where he teaches workshops on technology and holds a small portfolio of income producing properties as a second income stream. And he documents his real estate experience on his YouTube channel, which is, I think it's just John Lewis, correct? Is that the name
John
of the
Lewis STL.
John Lewis STL. And he also partakes in acting and modeling. So don't be surprised if you see him in a commercial or two. I saw an ad once. I was like, it's John. Well, I know him. So welcome, John Lewis. Yay.
Yeah. See, the other platform would have had the clap sound effect in it. So
it's all good. I know it's all love.
How are you today, John?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for the Happy Father's Day wishes. It's still something that's fairly new to me.
You are very welcome.
But yeah, it's great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. John, you have a lot of streams of income, a lot of options. I mentioned some of them: YouTuber, actor, model. You're also a real estate investor. I know you do some brand ambassador work. And then you just recently joined the gig economy family. Yep. So you got a lot going on. You're a pretty busy guy and everything. Did I miss anything? That's a pretty long list.
No, I think you got about everything. The rest is just if I'm hustling, doing something random that comes up. But yeah, if it's moral and ethical and it'll pay $1, I'll probably do it.
Got to remember that moral and ethical part.
That's very important because anybody watching, we're not gonna really mess with it if it's not moral and ethical. We're not gonna mess with someone that we see that's not moral or ethical.
Yeah. That is true. And we've known you for a long time, John. Now it's been a while. We're getting old. But oh, you're good. Like I told you, and I tell John this all the time. Like, yeah, you can do that, and I give my little grace. It's not like all distinguished. It's like, oh, she's an older woman. But
people
John,
watching right now, John is the youngest person on the show. By the way,
John is the youngest person on the show. Yes, he is.
Might not be able to.
What'd you say?
I said you might not be able to tell, but yep, I am.
Yeah, we can tell. So, as I mentioned before, this is a long list of, and it's a very good example of multiple streams of income, which I believe in this day and age is a very, very important thing to have, because you need to, as we can see what's going on now, you need to be able to have options, when it comes to making money and building wealth. So out of all of these streams of income that you have, which one of these would you say came first?
That good old job.
The good job, yes.
Yep. The W-2 income, 1099 income. That was definitely the first one. I got my first job when I was 16, working at the Golden Arches.
Okay.
Shirt smelled like French fries.
That was actually my second job. Yeah.
I worked right in front of the YMCA where I would go play basketball, and on my break, I would go and shoot hoops, and then I would go back on my break. So can you imagine French fry grease and sweat? Just imagine how I smelled as a kid.
Wow. That must be over
like
on West
a kid
Florissant.
who was making money. That's what you smelled like.
Yep.
That was the one over on West Florissant?
You know it. Yep.
Got to know them locations. He said McDonald's and the Y.
I can run right there, back and forth. I wasn't late neither. Get my few shots in and I'm gone.
Wow. All right. So basically, you started and you said that was at 16 years old, correct? So you were busy then. You were playing basketball, you were working. And was that something that was instilled in you early with your parents to, start making your own money and, trying to manage your money at that time?
Oh, yeah, it definitely was. It was goal driven. I wanted a car, and the folks wouldn't buy me a car. I had to go out and get a job in order to, really the car was there. It was just the car wouldn't move. It was my mother's old car. It needed an engine. So I knew if I can go work all summer, I will make enough money in order to put the engine in the car. And I did just that. So it was goal driven. It was not the dream job. I stayed there for about a year, and I got the car running, and then I moved on to another job. But yeah, work was instilled in me at a young age.
Okay. As well as it should be. And I think a lot more families need to start instilling that in, not just to have a job, but just to learn how to manage your money as well. I know a lot of us weren't taught how to manage, our credit and things like that. That wasn't taught to us in school. It wasn't taught to a lot of us by our parents because they just didn't know. It wasn't a thing that was, just normally taught. We're taught all kinds of things in high school, but credit and money management just isn't one of them.
No. But and that's also essential. When we say the first thing that you done and you say, okay, that was W-2. And one thing that we do have to know and understand is that the dream got to be funded.
Yeah.
The dream does have to be funded.
The dream got to be funded. So it's okay to start off and, get your job and say, okay, yeah, I got to get some money coming in so I can do what it is that I want to do. But don't get stuck there. Don't feel like you're ever stuck in a situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is very true.
100%.
That is very true. So, one other question related to that. Did you get the car?
I did.
Okay.
I was rolling. I've been rolling ever since I was 16.
What kind of car was it?
First car story, man. First car story.
It was a blue Chevy Corsica. Couldn't tell me nothing.
Dang.
Couldn't tell you nothing. All right.
Man.
He had the wheels. That's what's
Did
up.
you at least have power windows?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think that was a feature in the Corsica ever.
Yeah, I think I had to crank them bad boys.
Yep. Okay. So you got the car, and then you pushed past forward that. When did you start becoming interested in entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship came probably after college or right at the end of college. That inspiration came from, it's super cliche, but it's the book I read, Rich Dad Poor Dad, like every other person in the world. And it really got me thinking about my positioning within the cash flow quadrant. And I knew that I had to get my hand on some assets that produce income. And right now I sort of bounce back and forth between both sides of the quadrant, all four quadrants or whatnot, because I think it's it's more of a scale, you know. I have times when I'm an employee. I have times when I'm an entrepreneur. I have times when I'm leaning more towards the employee side, times when I'm leaning more toward the entrepreneur side. I think systems will help me create more stability toward my goal and my personal placement where I want to be. But I don't think it's an either or. I think they both can really help each other out. But definitely late college, right after college is when I got bit with the entrepreneurship bug. And I definitely want to try to get my boys bit with that bug way before college.
Way before.
I definitely agree. And I also agree with what you said as far as both sides being very important. I think that it is important, you know, and it's just depending where your head is. You know, there's some people that strictly say, hey, I just want W-2. I just want to go to work and I want to, you know, build my wealth that way and save money. There's some people who say, hey, I don't, it's more my type of person is the type of person I don't really like to be told what to do at a job. So I'm more of a entrepreneurial minded person. And then there's some people like you there that, you know, really want to put those things together to make them work hand in hand. And not all of those are you know, it just really depends on what type of person you are. What would you say? What type of person would you say you are? I know, but
to know me is to know that, yeah, I'm definitely the type of, it's not even so much I don't like being told what to do. It just has to make sense to me. And a lot of times in the job world is just pretty much do it because that's what we do. That's what we're told. And I'm like, no, I got to understand this. So when I am doing it myself, I do have an understanding of why this is being done, because it's not going to start until I understand it. Exactly. And it's a matter of you can, and it doesn't mean that I'm sitting and waiting. It just means that I may strategize in a different way and say, let me make a move right here. Let me make a decision right here because it makes sense right now, versus you got a lot of protocol you got to go through with a job if they're even going to let you make that kind of decision.
Exactly.
And you guys both know my personality. I've never had an issue with authority or anything like that. I'm never really like a combative type of guy. I can fit in a lot. For me, it was more just the end goal. And I know like the end goal, at least most jobs that I've had, it wouldn't provide that for me. So I think I can marry that job to other endeavors. Like I said, I don't have to abandon the job model completely because it's still a resource for me right now. But I know that I have to bring something else on board in order for me to be able to go toward what I want to do and also leave something for my boys as well. So
very good, very smart. So speaking of which, I'm glad you mentioned your boys, because that was actually going to be my very next question. You got 2 sons. It's still weird to think of you as a dad now, but yeah, you got the 2 boys, and then remind us of their ages.
Xolani is 2 and Zaire is 1. Xolani is getting ready to be 3 in August.
You know what? I remember those days with Cameron and Brooklyn, because it's that same type of age difference, and I would not trade places with you right now for anything in the world. Which, I mean, they are preteen and teen now, so they're, you know, that's a whole nother set of issues right there. But yeah, with your children, I'm sure that you have a very, you know, fun household right now. And as I wanted to ask you, as a husband and a busy husband and father, what is your approach to managing all of these different types of business ventures while raising your family?
I think for one is trying to stay at peace, because it can become very, very overwhelming, especially for new parents. So I think it's good to strategize. Like, you need a game plan with you and your wife. And I'm speaking from a 2-parent household. Hats off to all of the single parent households. I honestly cannot see how you do it. You guys have to be so strong, because even with my wife and I, we're still like, you know, off the wall with 2 boys. So I can just imagine that. I think about that a lot. Single, whether it's mothers or fathers who've had to raise even more than 2 children on their own. But for me, I had to tell myself that I wouldn't I wouldn't blame my children for any type of frustration or mishaps or anything like that I have. Um, that they're part of my life now. So things that I've started to do now is waking up earlier
Mm-hmm.
to where I can have total peace in the household. Man, it's such a good feeling that little golden hour between 5 and 7 or 5 and 8 before the boys, and sometimes even before they wake up, to where I can just have that me time, and I can organize my day and make sure that I've set up my day to where I can win and start to really check off some things in the morning. I really like to get things checked off in the morning and not to let them linger.
Uh-huh.
But as you know, when the boys wake up, it can be totally different. You got to change Pampers. You have to sit them on the pot. You have to feed them. You have to break up fights. They're to that age now where they're starting to fight and get all active with each other. So you have to make sure they're both breathing, check a pulse, make sure they're good. But yeah, definitely waking up earlier and strategizing with my wife, coming up with game plans and organizing time to where we have time together. Because when we're with the kids from sun up to sundown, and I didn't get things done that I would want to get done, it may create frustration within me, and I definitely don't want to take that out on the family, on the kids, or the wife, or anyone. So.
Be nice to the family. Yes. So what does that process in the morning? You said you wake up, you want to wake up ahead of the family and get yourself together, which is definitely a very wise thing to do. I try to do that myself. What does your process look like in the morning?
And I'll share it, and I would say that every morning is not the same. Like, I'm not a robot. So I know it's real cute and cliche to say, oh, every morning I get up and I read 20 pages from this book, and then I go for an exercise for 34 minutes exactly. And all that
That's
stuff.
not what mine looks like. Not exactly. It's...
Nah.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal, and that's ideal. But sometimes life is like, John, you're not going to do that plan today. I got something else planned for you, so I have to pivot. And I think that's an even greater quality, is how can you pivot and still come out on top. But some ideal things that I do like to get done is reading. Sometimes it may be one page. I'll clap or give myself a pat on the back if I'm able to open the book and just read a little bit, because sometimes I'm craving to read, but I know I can't always sit down for 15 or 30 minutes and crank out reading like I used to. I also like to write out a to-do list. That way I can actually check off things that I want done. And then I like to write out my short-term and long-term goals. And that's not something that I do every day, but I do like to get it done several days a week. Get to the gym. I know right now we're COVID time, so I can't go work out, but either running around my neighborhood, or else getting out every week and working out with some of the fellas here in St. Louis.
John gets it in with the workouts.
Hey, John.
I was there.
Yeah. Hey, the gym is back open, man.
Which one?
The Y.
Oh, man.
You know what? Because, at first I was like, I don't know if I want to go back in, and not, anything related to the COVID, but I didn't want to have an uncomfortable experience. But I went in, and other than, they moved around a couple of machines, so they're not all jumbled up or whatever, but it's just like before, really. So
nobody call and tell me nothing.
You didn't get all those emails?
I haven't been checking them.
Yeah,
I've been deleting. Man, they've been emailing a lot. So that's probably
they do. They've been blowing
my email up. Yeah, telemarketers or something.
No, that is the one.
And I had the app, and they send all the messages in the app too. I had to turn the app off for a little while because it was a lot.
But I tell you what, after like 3 months of not being in a gym, I went with like the lightest weight it felt like ever, and I was sore for like 5 days, man.
Yeah,
I was like, oh wow. But
I mean, even and that's a good segue, even though this isn't my show. But
go right on ahead. This is all about you today.
COVID, of course, it's had its negative impact on us, but it's also had positive impact on us. And I say that with all of the respect to anyone who's lost a loved one or who's been impacted, including myself, because my family has been impacted, like actual impact illness by COVID. Not my immediate family, but my extended family. But things like that.
you know how we didn't have a gym, so I got to spend more time with friends and working out, and I got to pick back up boxing, working out with a I brought on a trainer. Also spending more time with my family as opposed to just being in the gym pumping iron. That's something that I do normally by myself, but I got to fellowship more, even though we're not supposed to be fellowshipping. For the most part, it's been from a safe distance, but I got to fellowship more with friends and family as well. So COVID has had some good impact and bad impact. But yeah, thanks a lot for letting me know about that information, Xolani. I'll probably be back next week.
For sure.
Yeah, and you know what, you mentioned something about the fellowshipping, and that's, I think that even throughout this, I think that is still important to, be connected in some sort of way to people. I understand the social distancing and everything, but I think that it is also important to be in company, with other people, from a safe distance and everything. But we need that, and those workouts, those are really good. Those are really good times to get with other people and really, just you share that common goal of, wanting to be healthy together, and it kind of helps to push you and motivate you. So definitely enjoy those. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna keep them going every weekend.
Yes, definitely. Now I wanted to kind of, and since while we're on the subject of talking about COVID-19 and just the changes that we've all been going through this year 2020 has affected all of us in such a big way. It's the year that life that as we know it has changed forever. There's a lot of people out there who've lost their jobs. Some, have lost their businesses, some permanently. Some of these businesses have to, just permanently close their doors as well. And one good thing I would say about having multiple streams of income is that you can diversify, meaning, if one stream of income is not as profitable at the moment, you always have another way to bring in the money. So what I wanted to ask you, did COVID-19 affect your, I know it did affect your brand ambassador gigs that you had. And to what point did it affect that? And what did you do to supplement that income?
Okay, yes, it completely impacted the BA work and 1099 work. And the current company that I do the bulk of my work with, we went virtual, doing some projects virtual, but that work isn't as plentiful as when we're out doing events. This is summertime, so we're normally out doing events. The 4th of July is canceled. All these other big St. Louis events, they've been either canceled or postponed or moved to virtual sort of meetings or whatnot. So yes, I was completely impacted. And the company that I work for, since I have, they've let us know that we are out until December 31st. So basically throughout the end of the year.
Dang.
So
wow, that's a lot.
You're out until car show season.
What's up, Xolani?
I said we're gonna be out until car show season.
Yep. Yeah. And me and a lot of my promo buddies, we always prided ourselves on, our industry is indestructible. If we can't vibe right on this job, we can always go with another company here or another company there. But all of the companies are shut down because we can't do any large events. So it was a wake up call. And I had to pivot. So I hit you guys up. I've been taking advantage of some of the food delivery services and whatnot, and it's been really good. It was my first time. I didn't know what to expect, but I went ahead and got signed up, and I saw the people talking about that they were making pretty decent money doing it. So that's been another stream. And then of course real estate, which I've had even before the promos, have been very, very helpful, even though real estate took a hit as well. For the most part, my tenants have still been paying, but I have had two that have been kind of slow as they get their money from the government or their unemployment from the government. Then they'll pay their rent, but it's still different. I've had to be a lot more flexible with them, but most of my tenants have been just fine. So
good. And I was actually, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You mind if I turn off my fan really quick?
Go ahead. Sure.
I got the fan and the AC on.
All right. Well, this will be a good time to, we got a question that popped up on Facebook from Martina. She asked, what should we look into as far as saving and investing? I got something that I use. Now, John, you're much deeper in investing and saving than I would be. So, and with you being the guest on the show, if you do you have any suggestions for that for somebody that's brand new and say, hey, I don't really know how to save or don't know anything about investing. What would be your advice on that?
Sure. Yeah, it will all depend on your risk tolerance. If you want to lean more to a risky investments or more conservative investments, I'm young, so I can lean more toward risky stuff, and I think you mitigate your risk by getting more knowledge. However, yes, we should be saving. It's been really cute to say like, oh man, you don't have to worry about saving. The value of the dollar is just dropping, and it's all that talk until COVID-19 hit. And if you don't have a nest, if you don't have a nest egg or a couple dollars tucked under a pillow or in some type of bank account somewhere, we basically waiting on Trump to cut us our $1,200 check, which we don't know if he's gonna send us another one, but hopefully he does. But yeah, man, it was a reality check. I've never experienced anything like this in my life. This is the type of thing that you read about in history books. So I'm not a big fan of CDs. For that little amount of interest, I would rather keep my money liquid in some type of savings account. I'm more partial toward real estate, so I'm biased toward real estate. So I would definitely say if you haven't already, you should look at hard assets, but that's not before you get educated on it or maybe hop on the tailcoat of somebody who's already experienced in it. But I work hard for my money, and then I put that into real estate that will pay me on the monthly basis because my life takes place on the monthly basis. So that's pretty much where all of my money go to. And I don't really do stocks or anything like that. And that's just because I'm not knowledgeable on it. I don't have anything negative to say about it at all. I know people make tons of money in the stock market, but if you haven't already, I would definitely open up a Roth IRA as well. I currently have a Roth IRA. It's still tied to the market, but my goal is to get that actually self-directed to where I can begin to lend money from that, whether it be for real estate or if I want to lend people money for different projects that they have going on that I'm comfortable lending my money on. I can often command a higher rate of return than I could if my money was just sitting and being tied to the market. So that's my next goal. I plan on meeting with a CPA and an attorney to work on that whole process of self-directing my self-directing my IRA. And then of course, just having, get you a nest egg of about 3 to 6 months worth of expenses to where if COVID-2 comes around and something funky happens with the job or your income situation, that at least you can put food on the table for you and your family until you figure out your next move and multiple streams. Not just, it's pretty risky now to only rely on one stream of income. And that's even if you're a high income earner, unless you're taking that and you're investing in different things. But if you're just solely relying on one stream, and it's like a check to check type of ordeal as well. I can see if it's one stream, but you make so much to where you're able to put away a lot. But if it's pretty check to check and it's only one, that's very, very, very risky.
I don't know if you listen to Lynn Richardson or not, or if you've ever heard of Lynn Richardson, but she is a really, 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 really good financial advisor that I've been listening to lately. And what you said just reminded me of something that she always says, which is one stream of income is detrimental to your health.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, to your wealth rather.
Which is connected to your health.
Which is connected to your health. But so that reminded me of that, and she really teaches a lot about, making sure that you have multiple streams of income and also making sure that you have some sort of home-based business as well, because home-based businesses, that puts you into a whole nother level when it comes to getting your money back, your taxes and all of that back. So you definitely want to make sure that if you have multiple streams of income, that one of them is a home-based business that you can actually really get money back from when it comes to the IRS. And actually you do have multiple streams of income, and then also that gig economy work, that is definitely a home-based business. So yeah, those are just a whole nother set of tax codes that you can tap into and really, make work for you. So that's a good thing. And we got so much good content on all of this.
So
we
much.
could literally
So
go on
much.
with all of this for
Oh, yeah.
hours. And so it is actually a very good segue, because the question was asking about investing. So I kind of want to get into segueing about your real estate investing entrepreneurship and dig in a little bit deeper about that. First of all, I want you to explain for anyone who is not familiar or anyone who doesn't know what real estate investment is. Can you break that down for us? Give us a good definition of it and how it works.
Sure. And I don't have like an official definition. I'll just give you
just off the top of your head, your definition.
I would say putting forward either your time, your money, or your knowledge into real estate, a hard asset, whether it's residential or commercial, seeking to get back either cash flow, appreciation, or it's just an income stream. There's so many different things you can do within real estate, but investing, but you can have other businesses spawn off of that, whether it's a project management company or a cleaning company or a hauling company. You can do all of those, an HVAC company. And you can still invest in real estate as well, but you can have other active streams. So that's one thing I'm trying to do now is, and I guess I caution you that when you do read Robert Kiyosaki's book and he teaches so much about passive income, but I'm so young now, passive income is great, but I'm at the age where I can still go out and get it for active income. So it's very easy to become house rich and cash poor because you've taken all of your money and you dumped it into assets, but you haven't really built a business or you haven't really figured out a way to generate income. And we do all live on a monthly basis. But I would definitely say that as you're investing in real estate, think about other active ways that you can make money within the real estate industry if that's something that you are interested in. Or else if you don't already have another business that's kicking off cash. If you have another business that's kicking you off cash every month, then you stay focused on that and you put that money into real estate, or if you lend that money to someone else who's producing returns. But if not, then think of other ways that you can make money actively within real estate.
Love it. Love it. Yes, definitely.
And I'm definitely, that's actually the book I'm reading at this moment, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I'm pretty sure I've probably seen you just walking around with that book casually, because to know John is to know that he
always
he just whips out a book like
no matter what we're
but that's
doing.
what I like about him, because people whip out their phone and get on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever. This guy whipping out books or whatever, in line at the store or something. So I just got hip to a lot of this stuff myself, especially Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I saw Koko showed me an interview with Robert Kiyosaki, and I was like, I like that. And so I said, let me start looking at that, and I'm getting through it, learn what an asset is and learn what a liability is, because a lot of times people may think that something is a liability because they love it. Or they may think it's an asset because they love it. Oh, this means a lot to me, but it's costing you a lot. So in that case, it's still a liability. But in a modern day kind of way, you can turn a liability into an asset.
Definitely.
Yeah, he definitely has some great books. And when you read his books, you're not going to find the how-to, but if you're into it, it should spark your interest. It should increase your ambition to go out and learn more, because a lot of books, and this is for me, I go to books just to either be inspired or to maybe learn new ideas, and then you can transition to training courses, coaches, and mentorships. That's where you can learn the actual how-to, because sometimes you may be reading a book that still hits home, but it's 20 or 30 years old. You should be in tune with someone in your market. You should be in tune with the movers and shakers in your market who are still doing things now. Like if you would see the way that I stalk some of the heavy hitters in the Facebook real estate communities or whatnot, because I see that they're moving, I see that they're shaking. So I'm going to get in their DM, or I'm going to comment underneath them and just try to learn as much as I can from them because they're in my market. They know how things work here. And that should be the progression. So don't expect to learn it all from the books, but it should spark your interest and to get you curious about what are the possibilities out there, and then learn what's shaking in your market, get a mentor, and go out and take action.
That is great advice. Definitely great advice. What would you say as far as real estate investing? What would you say gave you the drive to really become involved in that industry?
I would say it's a mixture of content similar to Robert's, and then also just as far as community building. In my community, I'm from North St. Louis. We have a lot of work to do, and I don't know whose fault it is, but I take full responsibility for it. Like full responsibility. I'll pick up my trash. I'll pick up my neighbor's trash because I know that their trash is my responsibility, and Mother Nature is going to see to it that their trash becomes my responsibility as it blows from their yard to my yard. And that's just one aspect of it. Also, when your neighbors see you doing progressive acts within your community, you never know. Now you may become a beacon of light, or you may become inspiration. Have you ever seen where someone starts to work on their house, they paint their house, they do their landscape, and next thing you know, a couple houses down the street, now they're doing it, a couple houses down the street, they're doing it. And before you know it, the tide is raising all the boats now, or within the street, everyone is raising, like their level of thinking is raising and progressing. So I take full responsibility for my community, and I want to build it up. I want to invest in it, and I applaud others who invest in it and learn about it and don't just draw some broad brushstroke over the place where I was born. So that really inspired me. And then, so that's the whole moral, ethical side of it, and the whole politically correct. And the other side is that it can be great spoils at the end. It can be very, very rewarding. Real estate, at least, I'm not sure if it's still the number one leader, but it's created the most millionaires. So it's a hard asset that's not going anywhere. I can't outsource my house to China or India, anything like that. I still need a roof over my head. I still need my plumbing. I still need my electrical. I still need all of that here. So if I can acquire it, and then I can take it to the marketplace and provide it for someone, and they'll pay for it, for that service, then I'm going to do it. So, and it does also allow me to build a legacy. It's an asset that's transferable. That's something that my kids can inherit as well. So those are some of the things as far as the whole community part of it, and my total responsibility for my community and the well-being of myself and my family and my neighbors, and then just the rewards that real estate can offer. It's a no-brainer for me.
All right. Yes, definitely is a no-brainer. Speaking of which, would you say that, with everything going around right now with the pandemic, would you say that this is a good time to get into anything with real estate? Is this the best time, or is this the worst time? Is it kind of the same?
I think that the best time to get into real estate is now, because if you start trying to time the market and like, oh, I'm gonna wait until this happens or until this happens, it's like, no, you're on. It's like if you're sitting on the sideline, you and your coach hasn't even let you in the game yet, but you're planning like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna shoot a three directly from right there and I'm gonna make it. And you just draw out the entire game of how it's gonna happen, but you have no experience on the court yet. Yeah, you're gonna do that until you're matched up against a guy like LeBron or like me.
I like that.
You matched up against a guy like LeBron, or you matched up against a guy like Michael Jordan, or those guys, their life and experience is going to be the best teacher for life. So you can't do all of that from the sideline. So I would say you first got to get into the game. But even before you get into the game, I'll backtrack to say there's nothing wrong with education. but it's very easy to get stuck in analysis paralysis. And I do it all of the time. And it's very easy to just, oh yeah, I'm going to another seminar, I'm going to this, and we think that we're making progression, even though we are from an educational standpoint. But as far as us really getting our goals, it's going to require us to actually get into the game and like take action, which can be very risky. So if there's fear involved, oftentimes you're going the right way when there's fear involved. So I would definitely say education first, but don't just stay there, because education should be, even once you got 100,000 doors, you should still be educating yourself. Top real estate guys and gals, they're still going to masterminds because things change, and there's so much that you can still learn. I've learned from, I hired a coach who was in real estate less than I was, but he came in, took STL by storm, just went on fire, and he offered coaching. And I'm like, man, he's done all of this within 12 months. And I hired him as a coach, and I stuck with him for several months. And it's something where I can go back, but he helped me through one of my deals and implementing some systems as well. And I hope to aspire, I hope to progress from more of a mom and pop operation, which is what I am, to a big business operation. And pretty much the main difference is just systems. Mom and pop operations, they very rarely have good, efficient systems. But when you go to large business, big business, which will be on the cash flow quadrant that we spoke of, they're leveraging either systems or as human capital, systems or as people, to where they can really remove themselves from the day-to-day and work on furthering their vision, whether that's bettering their community, which is mine, whether it's teaching their young, which is mine, whether it's building a legacy, which is mine. So those are some of the things that I really think about when I think about some of the opportunities that real estate affords.
So basically what you're saying is that, there really is no best time to get in on a game. The best time is now, no matter what is going on currently in the world. Get in on it, get in where you fit in, basically.
Right now, because you're going to have people making money in real estate, whether it's up or down. It's all about your knowledge. Your knowledge, that's going to be, you have to learn, like, okay, it's a down market, but you can still go out and acquire properties. And actually, I'm sorry, it's not a down market. I'm speaking of the COVID and the pandemic, like everyone's down, everything's low. But for real estate investors, they're happy, but not to be insensitive to what's going on. But this is where we really make our money and where we thrive, because this is the time where it's the best deals, because you may be able to get properties for a lot cheaper than you can. And once the market rises and prices go back up and appreciation takes place and people are out spending money again, you have an asset that you acquired for way, way, way below market. So, and then you have guys who can even, at the top of the market, they know how to acquire properties without coming out of their pocket a dime. And I'm speaking of different creative ways that you can acquire properties. So you want to get your knowledge up so you can be able to enter in anytime, an up market or a down market. You don't have to sit on the sideline and wait for no one to give you the green light. You can hop in.
That's right.
Knowledge to take advantage of the market right now.
Beautiful. So I guess I kind of want to piggyback off of that and go back to something that you mentioned earlier also, because you stated that, you had a couple of tenants who were still, thriving and doing good. And then you had some who were, maybe a little bit slower in making their payments and things like that. So would you, in your experience, and it's not just doesn't just go for you, but also for any of your peers, that have properties and things like that. Have you seen where the pandemic has impacted the ability for people to be able to pay their rent, or has it been a thing where it's impacted the ability for the landlords, to get people to rent properties?
Some of my answer would just come from some of the feedback that I've seen within the real estate communities online. And people have faced it. I've seen letters circulating around like that can be mailed to your tenants just to let them know that, hey, rent is still due because our mortgage is still due. But here are some of the protocols that you can follow in order to best position yourself to make it through this pandemic. Also, picking up the phone and actually calling people, having that human to human touch and just figuring out what's going on, because you do have people that will pretty much place their head in the sand, because if they just lost their job, the last thing they want to do is call their landlord and say, like, I can't pay you rent, but at the same time, I don't have any money to go anywhere else. So the property owner, if they can take their leadership role to actually reach out to their tenant, find out what's going on, and let them know ways that we can work together to get through it. But yeah, I've heard about people, you know, and some of it has been people actually using the pandemic as an excuse. Unfortunately, we do have unethical people out there that will take advantage of this pandemic, and others to where they were actually like, you know, work is slow. I can't pay right now. So I would definitely say, and I even made a post about it, if you can pay your rent, pay your rent.
I remember that post. Yes.
Yes. Wells Fargo, I paid them. I don't want to even risk any type of thing they have where it's like, you don't have to worry about paying us, and because I don't want that to hit me. So I'm thinking about the end. So if you're a tenant or a property owner, think about the end. So think about if you try to take advantage of your landlord, if you're not truly struggling from the pandemic. But if you try to take advantage of your landlord or the property owner and put off 3-4 months of payments, and now he's had to figure out a way, because the mortgage is still due.
Exactly.
He's had to figure out, he or she has to figure out a way to continue to make those payments. How sympathetic and empathetic do you think he's going to be when it's time to evict you once the courts are back open now?
Exactly.
It's not like if you didn't care about me and my business, then it would be like, hey, I can't help you because you left me out there under a bus. So I have to do what's legally right, and that's to go through the court system to get possession back, to get someone in here who will honor the lease and honor what we agreed to.
I love that answer, and it doesn't just even go with, you know, as far as paying your rent or paying your mortgage, but just all of your bills as well. And I know that it can be very tempting to say, okay, well, they're allowing us to, you know, take an extra 30 days or extra 60 days to get this paid, but it does catch up in the end. So it is best to go ahead and pay those bills, pay your rent, pay your mortgage, you know, your car note, if you can, you know, if you can, definitely do it so that you stay ahead of the game, you know, and don't get behind, because just like you said, you know, in the end, it's still going to be due. And then you're going to find yourself digging yourself into a deeper and deeper hole.
Yep. And you never know what life is going to do. Like, say if someone gets ill, you get into a car accident, if your car breaks down, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Keep moving forward as if the pandemic, as far as like a financial responsibility standpoint, keep moving forward as if the pandemic never happened. Pay your bills, put aside what it is that you save, because you don't want it all to hit you like a freight train.
Exactly. So I wanted to ask you, before we wrap up, for somebody who is interested in getting into the real estate investment game, what would be the first steps for that?
It's of course you have books. I can share some on my Instagram.
John said you need to read like me.
Of course you have books. But then also remember that oftentimes those aren't the how-to. Information could have changed since reading that book. And then you can also seek out your local RIAs, your Real Estate Investing Association meetings. Beware of the big names that come through your city that can often talk you up out of your wallet, while your wallet is still in your pants. So that means they got your wallet and your pants.
We were so just talking about that. I won't mention any names or any particular companies, but what they do is, like you said, they'll have those seminars where they have the big celebrity name and they say, hey, you know, this person has you know, invested in this and that real estate, and they've done it without all these different ways. And at the end of the 2-hour, 3-hour thing is basically, go in the back. If you serious about getting rich, then you gonna give us
pay the
this
money.
$2,000. If not, then you gonna be broke.
And then say, if you don't have the money, then you can borrow it from somebody, or if you don't have it, you must not really want to be successful. You must not really want this.
So it's so many of those, and like you said, you can get caught up in going to those, and they take you through all the emotions. You're gonna feel pumped, you're gonna feel happy, you're gonna feel like, oh man, what have I been doing? And like you said, it's gonna be a little bit more complex than just, go to this seminar at the hotel and give us $3,000 and you'll be a millionaire in 30 days.
Basically.
Exactly. There's definitely a time and place for those. And I would just say beware, just because oftentimes you may invest that money and not get the results that you were seeking to get. I would say get with every market has a mover and a shaker in their market. Find out who's doing deals in your market, and you need to be tagging along to that person.
John Lewis.
John is ours. John, just let you know, he's our guy. He's our guy.
He is definitely a mover and a shaker.
And that's how it is. I help with things that I've learned, and I have is giants here in St. Louis that I reach out to, and I hit up, and I DM, and I text, and I call, because I'm always looking to learn. But I would definitely urge you to find out what's going on within your market. Maybe once a year, if you want to go to one of the big national ones that come through your market, feel free. There are educational speakers that I like, that I will travel to go to their events. And I'm not downplaying the big events at all, but you have the ones that go from city to city, and they really just don't have that much substance. And I have actually been to one before, so I can't speak on it. And they're nothing like some of our local. You may be able to hop on a Zoom call or go rent a room at the Heights or in the Brentwood. You may see one of your local investors having something there, and it will be so much more valuable than a lot of the other big national ones that really aren't focused in on your market. So that's what I would say. If you're looking to get involved, of course you can YouTube University. Get on YouTube. Everything is on YouTube.
I am a proud scholar of YouTube University.
I'm a graduate, alum, PhD, all that.
Undergrad.
I'm a forever
all
student.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Thank God for YouTube. YouTube University and podcasts. And then your local RIAs. Most of the time, your RIA, the first meeting or the first few meetings may be free. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't get a membership, the memberships may be like around $100 a year. And they oftentimes meet every week or every other week.
That's not bad at all.
It's not at all. And then if you don't want to come up out of 100, then they may charge 20 at the door. Mm-hmm. And you can bring a person for free. Mm-hmm. However, those prices are nothing compared to some of them. And then you have some that are free. I've been to ones that are more formal and educational, and I've been to others that are more like a mixer. Mm-hmm. And real estate investors and aspiring real estate investors, really experienced real estate investors, business people, they come together and they just they chill and they network and they talk. So those are a lot more valuable. So you can hit those up, and then you can as you start to learn about different people, then, see if anyone's taking coaching students or mentor or something like that. And I don't mean you have to go out and paying thousands of dollars for anyone like that, but just someone to where, if you do have a deal or something on the table, someone experienced that you can go to help you get that thing to the closing table, because things can come up. So you can either do that by paying for the service, or else if you have a good relationship with the mover or shaker in your city, then they may be cool with you hitting them up on IG DM or Facebook DM or calling them or texting them. But I'm well aware that that people's time is valuable. So when there is a dollar sign attached to it, I'm cool with that, because once I reach that point too, I want people to respect my time. Most wealthy people, that's one thing that they do, and they know the value of their time, and they don't just give it away to anyone. Because when you just give it away to anyone, then sometimes people don't value it as much as if they actually had to. And besides using the word pay, I would say invest. You're investing in yourself. How bad do you want to leverage some of the knowledge that that person has in order for you to be rewarded? So it will be worth it. Just make sure that you're linking up with someone that's moral and ethical.
Great. One of our viewers did have a question about what do you need to have in place for real estate investing? If you are a beginner, what are some things that you need to, what are some prerequisites? I guess I can ask.
Knowledge. You know, it's a lot of people that just hop out there without knowing much. And I'm just going to assume that you're in the market that you want to invest in. But if you're not in the market, you definitely want to have boots on the ground and some type of solid property management plan. Because me even being in the same city as the property that I own, management of the property is a lot, especially if you're going to manage it yourself. So you'll want to decide that who's going to manage your property. Are you going to manage it, or are you going to hire a property management company that will manage it for about 9 to 12% a month? So things like that, you will have to decide. Money. How are you going to acquire? First, all right, let's just walk from step A to Z. Okay. Your acquisition. How are you going to acquire the property? Are you going to the MLS? Are you using real estate agents? I used an agent for my primary residence here, but as far as my investment properties, I go direct to seller. Have you studied the different ways that you can market in order to get in contact with the seller? Do you know what street signs are? Do you know what voicemail drops are? Do you know what direct mail is? You've encountered all of this, but on the other side of the table, do you know what that is? So have your phone ever rung a couple times, and by the time you get it, you just see that you have a voicemail? That's someone else leveraging a voicemail drop against you. But did you know that you can also do that to prospects that you're seeking? Direct mail. Have you ever got a random piece of mail, with some type of advertisement or letting you know a service that they provide? Did you know that you can do that to homeowners? If you see a house that you like, you can send them a piece of mail with your number or with your website in order for them to get back in contact with you, just so you can get them on the phone. Are you going after distressed assets, or are you going after move-in ready assets? Are you looking to add value, or are you looking to just not have to do anything? As far as the property where I live in, I didn't want to have to do a lot, but the investment properties, I like to get them for dirt cheap. So I know that I'm going to have to do some work. What's your exit strategy? How do you plan to profit on this property once you have it fixed up and you're ready to market it? Are you going to rent it out? Are you going to own or finance it? Are you going to sell it on a contract for deed? Are you going to flip the property? Are you in the flipping neighborhood? Are you trying to flip a house in a D- neighborhood where people aren't looking to spend money to move into that area? Or are you trying to rent a property where it's primarily homeowners? So all of that type of stuff is there. If it wasn't really hitting home, those are some basic things that you'll want to get down. And that's just on the acquisition side. So now we move into management and legal. And I'm not an attorney or a CPA. Matter of fact, I'm just some guy on Facebook and YouTube, and you shouldn't listen to me. But you, and I'm just joking.
I know.
Advice. But ultimately, you will want to have professionals that you leverage when it comes to tax and legal. But a few things that I can share is how will you take title to the property? Do you know what title companies close the types of deals that you're looking to close? Have you already established an LLC, or do you plan on taking it down in the grantor's trust? Are you going to use your personal name, which I wouldn't recommend on your properties? Have you already talked to an insurance agent about the property that you're looking to buy and what how are you going to be looking for premiums? as far as management, how do you plan on collecting rent? Are you going to go over there to pick up cash? Will you have them deposit into a bank? Will you use a software in order to collect your rent? I highly advise against collecting cash. You don't want to be known as the landlord that comes and takes cash every month on the first.
You could write a book on that, but
Yeah,
that's a whole nother day right there. That's a whole nother subject.
Just put a target.
Cash man, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want. I'm not the cash man. I'm not the cash man.
Pay up.
Your anonymity. Are you going to be the type to where, oh yeah, I got a property right here. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. Or are you just going to say, I hold a few properties in the Midwest? Or are you more concerned about your anonymity or being able to hide what it is? Hide your assets. You don't have to go out and broadcast everything that you have, because then you can become a target. We live in the United States of America where you can sue anyone for anything. I can sue you right now, but I won't. I'm not the type of person. But
okay, I was gonna say,
don't sue me.
It's gonna be a challenge guy
and come up with the case for some reason why I can sue you because you offended me or something.
Right.
But yeah, you want to think about all of that stuff. And I say this not to complicate it, because I don't want to complicate it, but I just wanted to throw out a few things that you should think about. Think about your acquisition. Get familiar with how you're going to acquire the property. Think about your funding. Do you have money put aside, or else have you been educated in creative acquisition, or do you have relationship with hard money lenders, or do you have access to private money? So funding, you have to be able to buy the property. And then think about your management. How are you going to manage the property? And also your exit strategy or your dispositions. How are you going to dispose of the property? Are you going to sell it? Or are you going to hold on to it and build wealth and collect money on the monthly basis for providing a housing service? That's all
Good advice. John, you need to write a book on this. That could be a whole nother stream of income right there.
That's where that passive income comes in at.
That residual income.
Yeah, a book definitely would be more passive than, and yeah, the whole myth of passive income in real estate, don't expect. We have to come up with another word for that when it relates to real estate, because it still requires your
still requires that work.
Yeah, the work. You have to maintain it. Like you have to manage it right. If you don't manage your really, if you don't manage anything right, it's going to get out of line. And it's the same thing for real estate. So, I'm just sharing my experience and things that I've learned from other heavy hitters here in the St. Louis market. I stand behind the heavy hitters in my market. We got some dope ones here, and yeah, you should definitely tag on to those people.
Oh, we're gonna be in all that.
Yeah,
we're gonna be in all that. We're going to all those meetings.
Meeting those individuals as well. Did you have something that you wanted to?
Well, since you speak on that, as far as a myth with people thinking that real estate may be a passive income, because they think, okay, drop the money, get the building, flip it, or just have somebody pay rent. So as far as your whole what you know about wealth, what would you say are some myths that need to be dispelled?
I'll say that one first, the whole passive income when it comes to real estate. The more you can implement systems and people, then it can become passive. But even when you start to have people now, you still have to manage it. So who do you have to manage those people? So systems are great. This whole thing about not saving money, like I get it, but after seeing this thing happen, and if your bank account is dry, knowing how you probably wouldn't have any money to put food on your table, I wouldn't say it's a myth, but I would say to be very careful. Be very careful when it's no right or wrong answer, and it's really a gray area because it's not a black and white. But when you start to get your financial advice from like the ultra rich people, they're far removed from your situation, even if they come from humble beginnings just like you. I agree. But yeah, it's a bad habit not to have some type of nest egg put aside. So that would be another myth that I would say. What else would I say? I have nothing against leverage. I think leverage is good. It allows you not to have to come out of pocket for acquiring properties, or else you can go the cash route, but you have to be careful because you can become cash strapped to where you've put all of your money in real estate, which is a good thing, but now you aren't liquid. In order to get liquid, you have to sell the property or try to go do something else to make money. Those would probably be some of the main myths that I can think of right now. Xolani, if I think of another one, I'll just blurt it out.
Cool.
That's definitely very important for people to hear. So whether it's however way they want to build the wealth, whether it's real estate or stocks or some other sort of income, just know that it may not be as easy as it may seem, but it's actually not hard. If that makes any sense. It's not that hard, but it's not just, oh, there it is, put the money there, or hey, this is the flashy, glamorous stuff. It's going to be some work.
Oh, Xolani.
What's up?
You brought up another point, man. Like, that's the other thing when it comes to real estate investing and just doing something different from the norm, is people do expect you to be like on your Donald Trump at all, like 24/7. Me, I have several properties, but you may see me getting dirty, doing something else, hustling to make ends meet or to make some other money, and just doing a bunch of different things. Like, it's not not all real estate investors drive around with Lambos and
Big Ballin' John.
Yeah, not all of them have like big mansions and things like that. You do have ultra rich real estate investor guys, but you have others that make maybe 50 to 100 grand a year, and they live a very modest lifestyle. So I think we have a stigma, or this sort of romanticized image, which is cool to go after that. But if you see somebody that's not that, don't sort of don't flex on them that they not doing it or whatnot. They are doing it, and they may even be more free than you. Like, maybe
exactly
they have time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom, and they're not burdened down with a bunch of liabilities and things like that. So yeah, we really have to be careful with that image, and beware of it when you go to YouTube University. You are going to see a lot of it, but just
all those ads that pop up, man, and it's always a person that they got the, like you said, they got the Lambo, and they you want to get rich like me, then click this link.
Exactly.
And sometimes they'll have the nerve to say, "Don't pay attention to my house in the background."
I'm not gonna pay attention.
Don't pay attention to this Lambo, but yeah.
But that what you touched on is very pivotal, that when it comes to wealth is not the amount of money you have. Wealth is the mindset. So it's poor. Wealth and poor has nothing to do with money. It's your mindset when it comes to what you do with your money. So somebody can be poor, and when it comes to a number or a dollar amount, they may actually have a lot of money, but they got a poor mindset. They don't move their money properly. They blow it. They got more liabilities than assets. They got more money going out than coming in.
Another reference to Lynn Richardson. She talks about her story about how she was making about $90,000 a year, but she was living paycheck to Monday. She wasn't even living paycheck to paycheck. She was living paycheck to Monday.
Oh my
So
goodness.
by the time the weekend was over, after everything was paid, and she done spent all her money and everything. So so she had to learn, that was her beginnings, her humble beginnings. She always made good money, but she said she always found a way to be poor somehow. So it is all about the mindset and changing your mindset, and really we have to, and this taps into us as a people. We got to start getting more into the mindset of what you have on, or what you're driving is representative of how much money you have. So I think once we get more into the mindset of about saving money and building wealth, and it's not always about how much your shoes cost. If your shoes cost $500, because you got some of these richest people in the world out here, they walking around looking like bums, they're walking around with, a shirt that don't match the shoes or whatever the case is, but they got that wealth.
Yeah.
So the long way. So we have to get into that mindset of really knowing how to manage our money and our assets.
Yep. I would say, and we're there's a lot of stuff we're just now getting into, but there's never, what they say, never. I'm having a brain fart. Better late than never. Yeah. So better late than never. But no, we got ourselves a financial advisor. We getting all those insurances in place. Our listener Martina, she did ask about saving money. I would say get you, it doesn't have to be this particular app, but I use Acorns. So for the first thing it does is you save your spare change. So if it costs $6.30, you save that 70 cents. It goes to your savings account, and it also is a diversified investment account, depending on, like you said, which you want some aggressive growth, you want some moderate growth, somewhere in between. So that kind of thing, and it ends up helping you start seeing, oh man, I saved up $100 in spare change this month, like, and stuff that would, if you saw it, it'd be some quarters and pennies and nickels.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to, before we let you go, one final question. What would you say is the biggest mistake that new real estate investors make? If you could say one of the biggest.
Man, Koko, was this in the questions that you sent me? This was a curveball, but it's a really, really good question. If I just had to say one,
just one,
let's just make the biggest one. I think I will probably just have to start talking from my own experience.
Okay.
I'm sure that others will have done it too, but I would definitely start more with an active approach, create an active business out of real estate, especially if you're young, and cherry pick your passive real estate investments. Okay. So that can be either wholesaling, where you're selling the contract. That can be flipping, where you're taking the property and you're fixing it up to retail grade. So in today's age, it would be bringing it up to 2020, 2021 standards and selling it on the market. It could be property management. It could be hoteling. I will get good at one of those active businesses. And then from there, you're already trained to go out and get the best deals. You cherry pick the ones that you want to hold and that you want to hold. So it's more, do you want a mountain of cash or stream of cash? And I would say while you're young, you can work on that mountain and you can build a stream out of that. But when you're building a stream, it's a very, very slow process. And sometimes it doesn't yield the speed that you want to go to in order to reach your goals. So that would definitely be what I would change if it were me. And yeah, I just don't know if that's the number one for everyone. I know something else is very common. It's just analysis paralysis, just studying and never really actually doing it. So
great answer.
It's great several, but those are the two that come to my mind first.
Well, John, we really appreciate you coming to speak with us today and enlightening us on the real estate investment industry. And before we let you go, I do want to give you a chance to let everybody know where they can find you if they want to, just get more information on everything that you do. Also, where to follow you, because you do have your own YouTube channel as well, and you got other things going on, such as the modeling and acting. So just let us know where we can see you at.
Sure. As Koko mentioned, I am with an agency here, so you may see me in a commercial or on like an advertisement or something. And the thing with that is sometimes you may see me before I even see me. I'll get a text or a DM and somebody have a snapshot or a picture or something. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that shoot from like 6 months ago. So as you can see, I don't find out about it until, until someone tells me, or unless I follow up with the client or else with my agent. So yeah, I do that, and I have a YouTube channel as well, John Lewis STL. I post my experience. I do not claim to be a thought leader in real estate. I am not a guru. I am not a coach. I am not a teacher, but I will share my experiences with others. And if it helps them, great. My end goal is to help people. But yeah, I have not done enough yet to be considered a thought leader in real estate, and I don't want anyone to confuse me for trying to position myself in that way. And I don't have anything to sell you right now. I'm literally just documenting my experience, and I share it to hopefully motivate you to go out and do it and see that you can start from anywhere. I'm starting, born in North St. Louis, an area that's written off a lot, but yeah, we as I mentioned, our community is my responsibility. My neighbor is my responsibility. So I document and I speak on that on my YouTube channel. And then I'm very, 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 very active on my on Instagram. I love Instagram, and you can find me on Instagram at I'm John Lew. That's IMJOHNLEW. I'm John Lew on Instagram. Go ahead and give me a follow. I'll make sure that I follow you right back.
Got it. And we'll definitely, look forward, as I'm sure everyone else listening looks forward to, following your journey on your YouTube channel as well. So again, we definitely appreciate you. Before we leave, I do want to make sure that we do some housekeeping and give everybody information on where we can be found as well.
All right. So our Facebook page, in which we are streaming here, is Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow podcast. This is where the live stream is. We will also have this video posted on YouTube, Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow. And there's a site called Podbean, Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow at Podbean. Where else? Oh, this will also be streamed on Spotify. So you may, at any given time, because this episode, of course, is going to be archived, you may hear us or see us on any of those platforms. We're going to get some other things set up, especially if people want to support the show. Of course, on the financial end, if somebody want to say, hey, here's $10, donate, as so we can help grow the show. We want to make this a national and international experience, which we will do.
Yep. Nice. So on that note, make sure that you go to our YouTube page, which is Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow, and give us a subscribe, give us a like, comment, and also our Facebook page, as he mentioned, Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow podcast. If you haven't already, go there and like it, and you'll be able to know the latest updates of everything that we have going on. Again, thank you so much, John. This was a fun first show. It's so fun doing this with you again. You were on our other podcast that we had before, the Black Empowerment Radio Show. I think we had you as a guest a couple of times, but it's always good working with you. We've been doing various work with John throughout the years, and it's always been a really, really good experience. So we definitely appreciate you and looking forward to doing even more things with you in the future.
Thank you all.
Thank you. It. All right. And we are out of here.
We are out, and we're going to chat a little bit with you too, John.
All right. Peace, everybody.